We are going to graph a one transformation square root problem. I'm going to start by labeling off A. A is 1 because there's no number in front of the radical. B is also 1. Dang, pencil. H. There's no number being added or subtracted underneath the radical, is going to be 0. Now I have to divide H by B because we have a B transformation happening. This has never affected us before because they've always been 1, but I want to make sure that we see that. And then I have a K value of -2. So my vertex, or my starting point of my graph, point of entrance, is going to be 0, -2. Okay, so I'm going to plot that point first. So I'm going to come to 0 and then go down to 2. Okay, and then I'm going to do my rules. So I have right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2. On my ups, I'm going to multiply by A on these. On rights, I'm going to divide by B. If it was dividing by a negative, we would switch it to a left. Same thing if we multiply by a negative, we switch it to a down. So that's times 1, times 1. So my right movement would be, let's go, right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2. So I'm going to use this to graph, and I already plotted that point. So from my starting point, I'm going to go right 1, up 1. I'm going to go right 4, back from my start point, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. And then what I'm going to do from these 3 points is I'm going to connect them. Okay? And as I connect them, I'm going to look at my domain and range. So from up above, in the part of your notes, we talked about domain and range is based off your h and k. So domain is x, which means it's going to be based off the 0. Your range is your y, movements, or what is your y doing, which is -2, or f of x. So at 0, my x's are getting bigger, so we're going to have greater than or equal to. At -2, all my y's are going to get bigger. It might take a long time to get there, so this can be greater than or equal to -2, excuse me. And that's it. All that minus your domain and range gets you a level 1. You add that domain and range, that's a level 2. That's a single transformation on a square root. Okay. The next two on page 7 of your notes are multiple transformation. This one has 2. You have an H and an A. And this last one here has 4. You have an A, B, H, and K. So I'm going to start with number 2. A is 3. B is 1. H has X has a number being subtracted, so X, which is our H value. The opposite of -1 is going to be a +1. And then we have a K value of 0, since there's nothing on the outside being added or subtracted. Remember that you're always going to take your H divided by your B. So this is divisible by B, which is 1. And so my start point for my graph is going to be 1, 0. Okay? And then my rules are right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2. And then on my A's are always multiplied by my ups. So this is times by 3, times by 3. And then my right movements is going to be divisible by B, which in this case doesn't change. It's divisible by 1. Okay, so then this is really right 1, up 3, right 4, up 6. So I'm going to go plot my first point of 1, 0, and then I'm going to plot these other 2 points using the rules. So we don't mirror like we did with the quadratics, as you saw before, because with square roots, we were only graphing the positive or the negative. We're only graphing half of the graph of the parabola. So 1, 0 is right here. And then from this point, I'm going to go right 1, up 3. Go back to my starting point. I'm going to go right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 6. 3, 6. I'm going to plot that point. I'm going to graph that, connect those points. Remember, we're starting and just following that line, making it a curved. And then we're going to do our domain and range. Domain is based off your x. So I have x is something to 1, and my range is my y, which is something to 0 because it's based off that hk value. My x's here at 1 are all getting bigger, so we're greater than or equal to, because that's a solid dot. And the y's at my 0 are all growing up, and they're going up very, very quickly, so greater than or equal to 0. Okay? If you did that question all correct, that would be a multiple transformation. With including question number 1, that would give you a level 4, because you did the domain and range correctly plus graphing it correctly. The question that we really like is the next one, because there's 4 transformations. So on this next one, you have an A, a B, an H, and a K. So your A value is 1/2. Your B is 3. Your H value before you divide by B is -4. But I'm going to divide by B because I don't want to forget. So divide by 3. And then my K value, the number on the outside of the radical, is -1. So with that, I'm going to take this point, -4/3, comma, -1. And I'm going to do my rules. You have right 1, up 1, right 4, up 2. If you wanted to, you could do right 9, take the square root of 9, and you get up 3. You do not have to do that. Divide by 3. Gosh darn it. On my rights, multiply by my a's of 1/2 on my ups. So the rules that I would be graphing are right 1/3, up 1/2, right 4/3, up 1, right 3, up 3/2, or 1.5. So these are the points that are more important. Those are the same thing, it's just it's nice and easy to see. That's my starting point. So -4/3, when you think about graphing that, it's -1.333333, keep repeating. But what you're going to do is you're going to down to 0, and you're going to go over 3/3, and then 1 more, and we're going to come down to -1. So I'm going to plot a point here as best I can. Because I have this point here, if this isn't 100% accurate, it still allows me to see what's going on. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph my rules. So if I'm at 4/3 to the left here, I'm going to go right 1/3, puts me on the line of -1, and I'm going to go up 1/2. I'm going to go back to my starting point. It says go right 4/3, so I'm going to go over 4/3. Okay, and I'm going to go up 1. And you could stop there. I'm just trying to get a few more points to make it prettier. So if I'm going to go over right 3, so 1, 2, 3, because this was at 4/3 to the left, so -4/3, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. I can't be on the line because it's still going to be slightly off, and then I'm going to go up 1.5. So 1.5 puts me roughly here. Okay, and I'm going to connect those. This works better with pens instead of pencils, but that's okay. Graph those, and then my domain and range. Do not always assume it's going to be greater than or equal to. Always pay attention to what you're graphing. Domain is my x values with the -4/3. Range is my y values with this -1, which is my k value. So here at x, all my x's are getting bigger, so it's going to be greater than or equal to. And at my y's, they're getting bigger as well, greater than or equal to.